Welcome to Live with Anton Gunn. It is Wednesday, 2 p.m. East Coast time, 11 a.m. Pacific. I'm so excited about being with you today on this Wu-Tang Wednesday, as it is every Wednesday. I have a special topic that I'm going to focus on this week, and it literally is related to how you can find success as a leader in any organization. Most of us are struggling with our own leadership abilities. We're struggling with our teams. We're struggling on our culture inside of our organization. And we're always looking for the quick fix. We're always looking for the nugget that will turn things around. And it is very difficult. We start to lose people. People start not to believe in us, not to believe in our vision. Our organizations are struggling with many of these things. And so I think it's important to find timely and topical information that can give you a great game plan for what do you do when you face those difficult times in your organization. So I'm calling this prime time leadership qualities for success in your organization. And I didn't use the words prime time by accident because I think there's an incredible example this week alone and how prime time examples can help you turn around what's going on in your culture. And I'm talking about none other than the University of Colorado Buffaloes football coach named Deion Primetime Sanders, or as he is referred to more commonly today, is Coach Prime. But those of us who have been watching college football and pro football for the last 25 or 30 years know Deion Sanders as Primetime. Now, I want to unpack to you today some of the things that he has done, some of the lessons that you can learn, really the qualities that you should be embodying as a leader if you want to do something monumental and have radical success. And so in order for me to do that, I want to talk a little bit about the challenge, the organizational challenge that Deion Sanders faced before him and his team were able to do something miraculous this week. Now, what did they do this week? Well, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you. Deion Sanders took over a poor performing team and organization at the University of Colorado. See, last football season, before Deion arrived, they only won one football game. They played 12 and they only won one. So they lost 11 games. So their success record was non-existent. Their poor performance was evident in every aspect of the organization. Not only that, they had a lot of empty seats in their stadiums. Literally, their fans and supporters did not believe. They were struggling with revenue as an organization. They didn't have the money coming in the door last year. And so this poor performance, this poor team, these poor outcomes created an environment for a new leader to come in and take over. And that leader was Deion Sanders. Well, literally in less than 9 months, Deion took a poor performing organization and put them on the field last Saturday against a team that won 12 straight games the previous year. So when they went 1-11, this other team won 12 straight games, went on to the playoffs to literally play for a national championship, and came within one game of being in a national championship. So by all intents and purposes, Deion took over the team that could have been deemed in the bottom 4 teams in Division I college football in the Power 5 rankings because they won one game. And they played against a team who was in the top 4 at the opposite end of the scale because they won all of their games and had a chance to play for a national title. They were in the topic of conversation. Well, this past Saturday, Deion Sanders' previously poor performing team prevailed and beat that team. TCU was the other team who was successful for 12 games last year and were ranked again this year. They weren't ranked number 1, but they were still ranked, and Deion's team wasn't ranked. And they didn't just beat them, but they literally competed with them the entire game. It was a back and forth team, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, entire game. It was one of the most exciting games that you could have watched last year. Now, why am I talking to you about football? Why am I talking to you about a football game? Because I really want you to understand that what gave Colorado the opportunity to win this game against TCU wasn't just as about the X's and O's or the talent on the field. As a matter of fact, I'm going to show you that actually had very little to do with what Deion put in place that allowed his team to have that monumental success. So I have about 15 minutes here before I got to prepare for my next meeting. And I want you to get out a pen and a pad. I want you to write some things down. I want you to be prepared to capture notes on this because I'm going to do some teaching over the next 15 minutes of how you can take these qualities and lessons from Coach Primetime Sanders and use them to become a better leader for your team, for your organization, for the culture that you're in, and even for your family. You can use all of these lessons, and I want to give them to you. And I'm going to give you a resource that you can go and get that will help you to understand them. That resource is my very first book called The Audacity of Leadership. See, I wrote this book in 2009 that laid out the 10 essentials to become a transformative leader in the 21st century. And I'm telling you right now that Coach Deion Primetime Sanders, or Coach Prime, is a transformative leader in the state of Colorado right now. I will tell you, he was a transformative leader at Jackson State University, the historically Black college and university that he came from before he went to the University of Colorado. And so Deion Sanders embodies the audacity of leadership. So I'm going to share with you some qualities that he embodied that you need to embody if you want to be the kind of leader that takes your team and your organization to a level that has never been reached and to deliver on the success that you should. So let's jump right into it. The first thing that I want you to understand that before Deion Sanders became a great football coach, Deion Sanders was a great player. He was a phenomenal defensive back for 14 years in the National Football League. So much so, he was a two-time Super Bowl champion. He's been in the Pro Bowl every year that he played in football. Not only that, he literally was one of the most dominant players in the game at his position, and some would say the best to ever play the game. So he's in the Hall of Fame of the National Football League. There aren't many people who play football better than Deion Sanders. And so the first takeaway that I want you to understand is that Deion didn't just naturally walk on the field to become a primetime performer as a player. He had the work ethic. He literally had to work himself to be a better player. That was the only way he's going to be great. So my lesson for you out of the gate is, what are you doing to develop yourself to become a better leader? If you're not investing in professional development, you're telling me right now you're okay with being mediocre. You're okay with being just good enough. You're okay with not having success. Because the first person that you need to work on if you want to transform a culture is you got to transform yourself. You got to improve yourself every day. And that's what Deion Sanders did as a player. And he brought that same mindset into coaching. He did it at the high school level. He did it at a historically Black college and university known as the HBCU, Jackson State. And now he is starting that same process at the University of Colorado. So the first thing that you need to have is the audacity to lead. And some people told Deion Sanders that just because you're a great player doesn't mean you can be a great coach. As a matter of fact, they will even tell you that most great players can't be great coaches. If you think about it, in any sport, you pick the sport, basketball, football, baseball, you name it. How many of the greatest players actually were successful at coaches? Very few. Usually it pans out that the people who are the successful coaches are the ones who were better students than they were performers. I mean, look at college basketball. Mike Krzyzewski played basketball at Army, but he wasn't a national champion. He didn't play big time D1 basketball. Coach K was an okay basketball player, but he was a phenomenal coach. You can take it to the NBA and think about some of the greatest NBA coaches. Most of them were not great players. So Deion is actually breaking the mold here by being a great coach and being a great player. And it all started because he has the audacity to believe that he deserves to lead a team. Do you know how many people were angry or upset or talking bad about Deion Sanders when he was at Jackson State? They didn't believe that he should have even gotten the job because he didn't have any long track record as a college coach, not a GA, not a part-time assistant, not a volunteer assistant. He wasn't a coordinator at this college. He wasn't a position coach at this college. He literally walked right from playing pro football and commentating on TV and coaching high school to having a Division I head coaching job at a HBCU. And so some people believe that he didn't deserve to lead, but he had the audacity to believe that he deserved to lead, and he talked himself into the job. And then when he talked himself in the job, he was successful at the job. And then he went on and did the same thing at the University of Colorado. He was told that he didn't deserve a head coaching job at a Power 5 school in a big conference. But guess what? Deion Sanders is at the University of Colorado. He had the audacity to believe that he was there. Now, let me tell you what happened when he got the job. He walked in and told the players on the team that most of you won't be here next year. Matter of fact, some of you ain't really good enough to be here now. And so if you want to leave, go ahead and leave. If you want to get out, go ahead and get out because we're going to build a first-class program. And I don't think most of you are mentally and physically equipped to be a part of it. See, what was Deion doing when he said that? He was painting a vision of what he believed a successful program at Colorado would look like. And he was very honest and transparent with his players and assistant coaches and people who were there that they weren't the people who could get it done. See, he saw the evidence of their past performance and deemed that they could not get it done. But he didn't just tell them to go. I mean, he literally showed them the door. Let me give you this example. Of the 85 or really 100 scholarships that most of these schools have, he got rid of 86 players. 86 players. 86 of 100. So literally 85% of the roster left the team, and he brought in 86 new players. So almost the entire team that he is working with right now were not on this campus less than 12 months ago. So he brought in a whole new group of people. So what am I saying to you? There's some people on your team who's not ready to go to the success level that you want to take them as a leader. They're not. And so if you don't think that they're ready to cut it, then you have to be okay with having honest, transparent, fair, and dignified conversations to say that I'm not sure if this is the best place for you. And I'm going to help you to go somewhere else where you can be more successful. That may not be on your team. And that's totally okay. But you got to do it in a dignified, respectful, honest, and transparent way that if they're not the right ones on the team, help them to go somewhere else where they can be successful. If they can't be successful with you, help them to go somewhere else where they can be successful. That's okay. So point number one, again, have the audacity of leadership. Point number two is develop a vision of what success looks like. You got to have a vision. What does a good book say? Write the vision and make it plain. Without vision, people will perish. We know all of these phrases. So let me tell you what a vision is. A vision is a detailed mental picture of a desirable future. Write it down. Let me tell you again. A vision is a detailed mental picture of a desired future state. So if you have a vision that you're going to be the number one in your industry, if you have a vision that you're going to win your industry awards, if you have a vision that you're going to have record success from a bottom line revenue standpoint, if you have a vision that you're going to have the number one customer service rating, if you have a vision that you are going to be the best place in the world to work, if you have that vision, you need to write it down and describe the vision. So what does your organization look like if you are the best place to work? What does your vision look like if you are number one in the industry? Like, give me some detailed metrics underneath that vision. Deion Sanders painted that type of vision for his team, and he put it all over the walls. Words and phrases of what they were going to do now that they were at Colorado. He had a vision for himself as a head coach. He had a vision for his team as a team at the University of Colorado. He had a vision for their culture that's full of accountability, that's full of honesty and truth, that we're always going to put people in position to be successful. That's what our vision is. We're going to tell them what success looks like. We're going to bring people in who can show them what successes look like. He painted a vision that was immaculate and detailed. And by painting that vision, his team was able to see themselves inside of that vision. If you are painting a vision, everybody should be able to see themselves inside of the vision. And if they can't see themselves inside of the vision, two things are happening. Number one, you're not doing a good enough job of painting that vision. And number two, maybe they haven't bought into the vision. And that's okay, because some people won't buy into the vision that you paint. And if they don't, it is totally okay. But it's your job to help them to move to somewhere else, because people who don't believe in a vision, who can't see the vision, then they can't possibly help you to achieve the vision. If they can't see it, if they don't believe it, they cannot help you to achieve it. So make sure that you paint a detailed mental picture where everybody can see what their role is in making that vision a reality. If you do that, they'll buy in. If they can't see that, believe that, and you don't do it, then they won't buy in and you won't be able to achieve the vision. So you got to write the vision and make it plain. That's the second value. The second quality is vision. Now, let me jump to the third value, and I'm going to move quickly now and get through these, but there's so much here to unpack from this week of football, so much to unpack. I might even need to do a part two, but who knows? I might move on to something else that's more topical. So here's the third thing is vision is not enough. You can have a great vision, but it's not enough. Because you know what else you need to have in addition to the vision is you need to have faith or the belief that you can make the vision a reality. See, faith is essential to success in an organization. You can have the audacity, the unmitigated gall to lead. You can write a detailed vision and put that vision down on paper. But if you don't have the faith that you can make it into a reality, if you don't believe that you can make it into a reality, it really won't happen. Faith requires you to take steps. Faith requires you to not be able to see the end game or the end line, but still go towards the finish line. You got to have faith in yourself. You got to have faith in your team. And you got to have faith in your processes. And I'm telling you, Coach Prime not only had a vision, but he spoke to his faith. He spoke to his vision for his team. He spoke to the belief of what he believed this team can do. And he literally said in his post-game commentary after the game was over with, everybody was shocked and surprised. And he said, I'm not surprised. We believed all along. His player said, we just had to show y'all we believed that we were going to do this all along, that we were going to beat TCU all along. We believed. Again, belief is how you achieve. You have to have belief. And if you don't believe in your team or your organization, if you don't believe in your company, if you don't believe in their values, if you don't believe in your products and services, if you don't believe in what you're doing is going to make a difference in people's lives, why in the heck are you doing it? If you don't believe, then quit. Leave. But you got to have a belief system as a leader, and you got to get your team to believe. I hope I'm making sense to you. That's number 3. Now, the fourth quality that Deion brought to the table, that one is understated, that nobody's really talking about, that nobody's really even sharing or framing this up, is that Deion knew that he could not achieve success by himself. He had to surround himself with great leaders. Who am I talking about? I'm talking about the position coaches that Deion Sanders brought to the table. Here's what most people don't realize. Deion Sanders is a fairly young head coach. He's not a young man, but he's a young head coach. 4 or 5 years at Jackson State, few years at a high school. But this is his real first time, big time coaching job. So he knew right away that he couldn't be successful by himself. So he surrounded himself with great coaches. 4 coaches who had previously been head coaches somewhere else. Yes, that's right. Deion Sanders has 4 head coaches, former head coaches, as his position coaches. So I want you to think about that. Think about your team. Think about the people who you surround yourself with. Are you the most experienced one in your group as the leader? Do you know more than everybody else? Are you the smartest in the room? Are you the most equipped, most prepared person in the room? If you are, then that might be the reason why you got a mediocre team, or you're not hitting the success metrics that you want, because you got to get to a place and get comfortable as a leader with surrounding yourself with people who know more than you do, who have more experience than you have, who have more success than you have, and have something greater to contribute than you do. See, Deion Sanders was a defensive player. He may know a little bit about play calling, but I tell you what, the offensive coordinator that he has at the University of Colorado was previously a head coach at Kent State. And he's the one calling the plays that allowed them to have more than 500 yards of total offense in that football game. Not Deion, his coaches. So my lesson for you is to surround yourself with great leaders who can add value, more value than you can, and know your role. And I'm going to talk about what that role is in these next few bullet points as I get ready to close. You got to know your role. Surround yourself with other great leaders. So point number 5 is, once you surrounded yourself with great leaders, you got to inspire them to be the best that they possibly can be. That's what Deion Sanders is. He is a preacher, an inspiration, and a motivation to his players, his coaches, the fans, the administration, everybody at the University of Colorado. If you haven't seen Deion Sanders speak, then you don't really understand the success principle that he embodies the most, is that he finds the words that work to motivate, inspire, and empower his team to dig deeper, to go to higher heights and deeper depths. He has the words. He uses those words. He masters the language that motivates people. He is an inspiration because he lives it. I mean, again, he was the best. He was a Hall of Famer. So that's an inspiration in itself because of what he's done. But more importantly, he believes in his kids. He tells them what they can do. And then he shows them a pathway on how he can help them to get there. That's who Deion Sanders is. He is an inspiration. The right words, the right tone, the right emphasis, and the right timing of those words. So my lesson and question for you as a leader, are you mastering the spoken word? Do you know the ways to motivate your team? Do you know what they want to hear from you? Or are you telling them what you want them to hear rather than what they need to hear? And what I'm clear about Deion Sanders, he doesn't tell his team what he wants them to know. He tells them what they need to hear. And he does it in an authentic and inspiring way, which takes me to our next principle. And that is principle number 6, is that Deion Sanders is totally authentic with who he is. He's not trying to pretend to be like any other coach in football. As a matter of fact, I would tell you, he is breaking the mold on what it takes to be successful as a D1 coach, to be really successful. And what do I mean authentic? Most coaches hate social media. They don't like Instagram. They don't like Twitter. They don't like TikTok. They don't have accounts. They don't focus on that. But I will tell you what, Deion Sanders knows how to use social media, and he uses it in the most miraculous way to communicate messages to his team, to future players, supporters, fans, donors, you name it across the board. He owns social media, and he's totally authentic in his social media. I mean, literally doing social media, talking about how he had to have his toes amputated because of some health issues, showing video of himself in a hospital bed, in pain, thinking that he might die, not being afraid to talk about his faith in post-game press conferences. Deion Sanders is totally authentic and transparent. So my question for you, how transparent and authentic are you as a leader? If you're not being transparent and authentic, then maybe that's why you're not having success. That's a principle to embody. Now, the next one I'm going to give you, I kind of talked about this earlier. I want to give it to you in this frame, is you got to focus on self-improvement. You got to get better every day. Deion Sanders requires his team to get better every day. He's trying to get better every day. He shows himself working out, shows himself rehabbing. He tells his team what they need to do to get better. He puts them in a position to improve themselves. You have to be a self-improvement organization. As a matter of fact, one of my mentors, his name is Walter Bond, says most great businesses are training and development organizations just masquerading as their core business. Like if you think about Chick-fil-A, I'm going to just use them as an example. You know what's impeccable is how they train their staff to do their jobs. Most fast food restaurants, if you get hired on Monday, they're going to give you 2 days of training and they're going to put you on the line to flip burgers or to make fries. But did you know that if you get hired at Chick-fil-A, that you're in training for 2 whole weeks? Like literally, you will get a paycheck after 2 weeks of work, but have never worked because you've been in training for 2 weeks. The best organizations are training and development organizations masquerading as their core business. And Deion Sanders embodies the quality of training and development, self-improvement for himself and his team. That is the point that I want to make of number 7. Now, number 8, this is a quick and easy one that I want you to understand, is that Deion Sanders has immense confidence in himself and his team. Confidence, so much confidence, it actually makes people hate him because they're insecure in their own confidence and they mistake his confidence for arrogance. Well, it ain't arrogance if you can back it up. It ain't arrogance if you have it under control. And some people say Deion Sanders is out of control. No, he's not. He is confident and his team plays under control. They never were in a position in that football game to believe that they weren't going to win. They had confidence in their ability. They believed in it, but they had confidence that they would execute on it. So my question is, are you demonstrating confidence to your team, or are you demonstrating that you don't have any confidence at all? I'm not saying being humble is a problem, because Deion Sanders has some humility. He recognizes that all of his gifts, his blessings, and his opportunities comes from a higher power. It comes from God. So he doesn't believe that he is a godlike figure, but he has confidence in his ability to deliver. So do you have that confidence? If you don't have that confidence, then you're missing this principle. Now here's the last one, and I'm gone. is that I want you to know that there's so many people who despise the way Deion Sanders is doing business, that they're rooting for him to fail. I literally saw a longtime coach on game day, Lee Corso, say that he could not pull for Colorado because he doesn't like the way Deion Sanders is doing his job, the way Deion Sanders got the job and what Deion Sanders did to play. Again, that goes back to him being authentic and doing it his way and not doing it the way that everybody expects him. But the last point of this is that you're going to have some haters, some people who don't like what you do, how you do it, the way you do it, and you being your authentic self. They want you to be like everybody else. But when that hate comes, when those detractor comes, the question is, do you listen to them or are you listening to yourself and to your team and the people who are in the trenches with you? See, the best character trait, if you want to achieve success, is to know to not focus on the external voices, but only focus on the internal voices in your team. And so if you've done the part of having the audacity to lead, creating a vision, having the faith in the belief system, putting great leaders around you, inspiring people, developing yourself and having that training and development mindset, and most importantly, being authentic and having that confidence, then the only voices that you need to hear from are the people on your team. This lesson was so powerful for me to know that I wrote a book called The Audacity of Leadership, where I covered most of these principles way back in 2009. But to see Deion Sanders embody them in his own authentic way is so powerful and a lesson that I think all of us should take and own if we want to be the leader that changes our organizations, builds a world-class culture, and most importantly, become a person that so many people will admire. Because as many haters as Deion Sanders might have, after this 1 week of college football, he's gained more fans and followers and supporters and people who don't even watch football, but they're fans of Coach Prime because of what he was able to do to turn his organization around, a new organization as a new leader. And yes, it's only been 1 week. It's going to be a long college football season. They're going to face more adversity. But what I'm confident about is that Deion Sanders has radical faith in his ability and he has the audacity to lead. So I hope you embody those and I hope you have a great day. And I'll see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Everybody be safe, be happy, and remember to be the leader that you want to be by becoming the person that you deserve to be.